The news surrounding the New England Patriots changed dramatically as the organization prepared for the start of the new league year. A decision that had been quietly building behind the scenes finally became clear. The team will move on from veteran wide receiver Stefon Diggs once the official paperwork can be filed when the new season cycle begins. The move itself could not be finalized immediately due to league timing rules, but the direction was already set, and the message was unmistakable. After one memorable season in Foxborough, the Patriots and Diggs are heading down different paths. For many fans, the announcement brings mixed emotions. On one hand, the connection between Diggs and the team produced some unforgettable moments throughout the year. On the other hand, the financial reality of the league always finds a way to influence difficult choices. The veteran receiver carried a very large cap number moving forward, and the organization had to decide whether that investment still made sense considering the roster they are trying to build. When the front office looked ahead, they ultimately concluded that the best option was to free up space and begin planning for the future. Diggs arrived in New England with enormous expectations, and to his credit, he delivered far more than many people predicted. Early in the season, there were genuine questions about whether he would even be fully ready for the opening week after the physical grind of previous seasons. Instead, he pushed through the preparation process and stepped onto the field ready to contribute immediately. What followed was a campaign that reminded the league exactly why he had been considered one of the most dangerous wide receivers of his generation. During the regular season, he produced a 1,000-yard performance, something that had not been seen from a Patriots wide receiver in several years. His total included 85 receptions and multiple highlight plays that energized the entire offense. There were crucial catches in tight matchups, contested balls in traffic, and moments where his experience helped settle the offense during high-pressure situations. His ability to stretch the field added a dimension that defenses could not ignore, forcing opposing coordinators to dedicate extra attention to his side of the formation. Several games in particular stood out as defining moments of his time with the Patriots. In matchups against top competition, he delivered clutch receptions that shifted momentum and kept drives alive. His route running remained sharp, his hands reliable, and his presence on the sideline often served as a spark for younger players who were still learning how to navigate the demands of the league. Leadership is something that rarely shows up in the stat sheet, yet teammates frequently pointed to Diggs as a voice that helped keep the group focused during difficult stretches. But the reality of professional football is that production alone does not always determine a player's future with a team. Age, contract structure, and long-term planning all play major roles in decisions like this one. Diggs is approaching the later stage of his career, and the cost associated with keeping him on the roster was projected to remain extremely high. His cap figure moving forward would have placed a heavy financial weight on the organization, especially when the front office is trying to build a balanced roster across multiple positions. There were discussions about potentially restructuring the contract to lower the financial impact. That type of adjustment could have allowed Diggs to remain in New England while giving the team more flexibility elsewhere on the roster. However, those negotiations did not lead to an agreement that satisfied both sides. When that door closed, the Patriots were left with a clear decision. Either maintain the existing contract and absorb the massive cap hit, or release the veteran receiver and open up valuable financial room. By choosing to move on, the Patriots will absorb some dead money, but they will also gain significant cap space that can be used to reshape the offense. The additional flexibility immediately changes the conversation about what this team might do once the free agency period begins. Instead of being locked into one expensive contract, the front office now has the ability to explore multiple options in the search for a new primary target in the passing game. That search becomes especially important when looking at the current depth chart at wide receiver. Players such as Keyshawn Bout, Demario Douglas, and Kyle Williams all bring effort and potential, but none of them has firmly established themselves as a true number one option at the professional level. They can contribute, they can develop, and they can create moments. Yet building an entire passing attack around that group alone would be an enormous challenge. The Patriots understand that reality, which is why attention has already shifted toward possible replacements who could step into the role Diggs is leaving behind. One name generating discussion is Alec Pierce. The young receiver has shown flashes of big playability and has gradually improved his production over the past few seasons. His speed and ability to stretch the field make him an intriguing possibility for teams looking to add vertical threat to their offense. Pierce recently crossed the 1,000-yard mark for the first time in his career, a milestone that caught the attention of several organizations around the league. His yards per reception numbers suggest that he can change the momentum of a game with a single catch. Still, the question many evaluators are asking is whether he can truly evolve into a consistent top option in a high-pressure offense. There is a difference between being a productive deep threat and carrying the responsibilities that come with being the focal point of a passing attack. Because of that uncertainty, some observers believe the Patriots might explore even bigger possibilities. One of the most talked about scenarios involves a potential trade for A.J. Brown, the dominant receiver currently playing for the Philadelphia Eagles. Brown has built a reputation as one of the most physically imposing wideouts in the league, combining strength, speed, and consistency in a way that few defenders can contain. Year after year, he has produced elite numbers, routinely surpassing the 1,000-yard mark while finding the end zone multiple times each season. His style of play allows an offense to remain aggressive, knowing that even tightly contested passes can turn into major gains when Brown is involved. A player with that profile instantly elevates the ceiling of an entire offensive unit. Of course, acquiring a star of that caliber would come at a steep price. Trade discussions involving players like Brown often include premium draft selections and significant financial commitments. The Patriots would need to carefully evaluate whether such a move aligns with their long-term vision, especially as they continue developing young quarterback Drake May as the potential leader of the offense for years to come. Beyond those names, the wider receiver market could offer additional options as teams around the league reshape their rosters. Veterans like Mike Evans and Tyreek Hill always draw attention whenever their situations become uncertain, while experienced contributors such as Christian Kirk and Jawan Jennings can provide reliable production in the right system. Each possibility presents a different combination of risk, cost, and upside. What makes this moment so fascinating for Patriots fans is the sheer number of directions the team could choose. Releasing Stefon Diggs is not simply the end of one chapter. It is the beginning of a much larger roster transformation. With additional cap space available and the upcoming player market about to open, the organization suddenly finds itself with the flexibility to pursue a completely new identity on offense. Inside the locker room, players will now be watching closely to see who emerges as the next leader among the receivers. The departure of a veteran like Diggs inevitably creates both opportunity and pressure. Younger players understand that more targets could be available, but they also recognize that the team will likely bring in competition to strengthen the position group. The next move the Patriots make could shape the entire structure of the offense moving forward. With the departure of Stefon Diggs now set in motion, the biggest question surrounding the New England Patriots becomes impossible to ignore. Who will step in as the true number one wide receiver for the upcoming season? That question is already dominating conversations among fans and analysts because the offense clearly needs a new centerpiece in the passing game. Losing a veteran who produced over 1,000 yards immediately leaves a massive gap, and filling that gap will be one of the most important objectives for the front office as the new league year approaches. The timing of this decision is not accidental. Free agency is about to open, and the Patriots suddenly have far more financial flexibility than they did just a few days ago. The money saved from moving on from Diggs creates an opportunity to aggressively pursue help on the open market. When a team frees up that kind of cap space, it usually signals that a bigger plan is already forming behind the scenes. New England is clearly preparing to explore multiple possibilities, and the wide receiver position now sits at the top of that priority list. One of the names generating strong attention in league discussions is Alec Pierce. The young receiver has steadily developed into a dangerous vertical threat, and his most recent season showed noticeable progress in his overall production. He finally crossed the 1,000-yard mark, proving that he can handle a larger role when given the opportunity. His ability to stretch defenses with deep routes makes him an intriguing weapon for an offense that wants to create explosive plays. Pierce has also built a reputation for efficiency when the ball is in the air. His yards per reception numbers remain among the most impressive for receivers entering the market, and he has shown the ability to turn a single opportunity into a massive gain. That kind of playmaking ability naturally attracts interest from teams searching for speed and field-stretching capability. For the Patriots, adding someone with those traits could open up the entire offense and give the quarterback more room to operate. However, there is still a major debate about whether Pierce truly fits the role of a franchise wide receiver. While his big play potential is undeniable, critics point out that he has only reached the 1,000-yard milestone once so far in his career. Teams searching for a long-term offensive leader usually prefer a player with a longer history of elite production. The difference between a strong complementary receiver and a true number one option is consistency, and that is where the conversation around Pierce becomes more complicated. That uncertainty is exactly why some observers believe the Patriots could pursue a much more established star through the trade market. One name that constantly surfaces in speculation is A.J. Brown of the Philadelphia Eagles. Brown has been one of the most dominant wide receivers in the league over the past several seasons, combining size, physical strength, and speed in a way that few defenders can match. Every year, he produces numbers that place him among the elite, and his presence alone can transform the way defenses approach a game. Looking at Brown's production tells the story. Season after season, he surpasses the 1,000-yard mark, and he consistently finds the end zone while maintaining a high average per catch. Those numbers are not just the result of one good year or one favorable system. They reflect a player who has proven his ability to perform regardless of circumstances. Even when dealing with defensive attention or changes within the offense, Brown continues to deliver. For a team like the Patriots, acquiring a receiver with that level of reliability could immediately reshape the entire offensive identity. A dominant wideout forces defenses to adjust their coverage, which creates opportunities for the rest of the roster. Tight ends gain more space underneath, running backs find lighter defensive fronts, and secondary receivers face less pressure from opposing cornerbacks. One star player can completely change the dynamic of a passing attack. The challenge, of course, is the cost. Reports around the league suggest that any potential trade involving Brown would require significant draft compensation. When a player of that caliber becomes available, teams are rarely willing to let him go without receiving premium assets in return. That means the Patriots would need to carefully weigh whether sacrificing high draft picks is worth the immediate impact a superstar receiver could bring. There are also financial considerations beyond the trade itself. Players who perform at Brown's level command enormous contracts, and adding that type of salary would shape the team's budget for several seasons. New England must balance the desire for a proven playmaker with the long-term responsibility of building a complete roster. Spending too aggressively at one position can create challenges elsewhere, especially when other key players are approaching extension negotiations. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to Patriots Hub and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our New England Patriots. And don't be shy, share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Behind the closed doors of the league, tension is quietly building around the New England Patriots, and sources close to the situation suggest that an important internal negotiation has reached a delicate standstill. What initially appeared to be a routine process has reportedly evolved into a complex impasse, raising concerns that the franchise could be on the verge of losing a key piece of its structure. According to people familiar with the talks, discussions have stalled due to a gap between expectations on both sides. While the organization is said to be focused on long-term flexibility and financial discipline, the players' camp believes his current value and role within the team warrant stronger guarantees. This difference in vision has slowed progress and introduced an element of uncertainty that is now rippling through the locker room. The Patriots, known historically for managing negotiations with a firm hand, are once again facing scrutiny over whether their traditional approach still fits the modern landscape of the league. Insiders hint that patience is wearing thin, and while no doors have officially closed, the lack of movement has fueled speculation that other teams may soon emerge as realistic alternatives. Even without formal offers on the table, the mere perception of interest elsewhere can shift leverage quickly. Within the organization, there is an understanding of what could be lost beyond on-field production. The player in question is viewed as an influential presence, someone whose impact extends into preparation habits and competitive mindset. Letting such a figure walk away could send an unintended message at a time when the team is seeking stability and renewed identity. For now, the situation remains unresolved, hovering in that familiar gray area where optimism and concern coexist. The Patriots continue to project calm publicly, but behind the scenes, the pressure to find common ground is growing. Whether this impasse becomes a turning point or simply another chapter in a long negotiation saga is still unknown, but the possibility of losing an important piece is no longer being dismissed as distant speculation. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our New England Patriots, be sure to subscribe to Patriots Hub and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.